company across the regions and promotions. When we talk about management of solid waste, we say social obligation is much bigger than supporting good causes. It includes anything that impacts people in the quality of their lives. Management of solid waste continues to be an important environmental challenge facing humanity in the 21st century. With this cue, I would like to invite our guest of honor, Mr. Sudhir Krishna. He is an IS Former Secretary to Minister of Urban Development. Mr. Krishna, very good morning to you, sir. I would like to invite Mr. Ravindra Sachdev. Is he around? President of the United India Institute. I don't think he's coming yet. Mr. Upendra Bhatt, Managing Director of Technics Consulting Private Limited. Mr. Satish Sinha, Associate Director of Toxics. And Dr. S.P. Ghosh, Scientific Officer. He hasn't come yet, but still on the way. He's coming from Mumbai, so maybe the flight delay has caught him up. To begin with the traditional culture, we first like to have Mr. Krishna, can I invite you, please? Projects, steps to please come forward and request you to please present the case for a distinguished guest dies. No, that's fine. Mr. Sachdev. Mr. Sinha. Thank you, Mr. Tulapati. Now, when we say management of solid waste, if you might think it's a need of the hour, is to develop and implement waste management technologies that are focused on developing environmentally sound methods of handling solid waste. The time has come when the experts and those interested in solid waste management in the country should come together, examine practices currently in vogue, assist in sustainability in line with existing regulations, develop cost-effective, environmentally sound techniques. Keeping in view the today's novel theme is need of the hour, implementing the 3 R's, that is reduce, reuse and recycle approach to solid waste management. When we say this, the only way forward, if we are going to improve the quality of the environment, is to get everybody involved. I would like to invite Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary of Municipal Urban Development, to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a privilege to associate with any event concerning solid waste management. Why? Because in my opinion, and I'm sure you will agree, that of all the challenges that our country is facing today, challenge number one today is solid waste management. That's my opinion. It is not reaching the Municipal mass. And to my understanding, really drinking water supply has ceased to be a major problem now. It is an issue here and there, but it is not that kind of problem as it used to be before. And as I said, I think of now not kind of thing. It's a basic need. So the food is also not a problem anymore. There is nobody who is hungry. There is nobody who is not able to feed himself or his family. It's a question of what are you feeding? Can you feed something better, more richer, and better? That's all like that. That question will continue forever. But it is not that anybody cannot feed family at all. The situation is no more there. Similarly, clothes are no issue at all. I mean, there is nobody who finds us more than 30, 40 years before, or 50 years before. People devoid of reasonably good clothes and so on. That is not the case anymore. Housing is an issue which I can discuss some other time because we are not discussing today. And in my opinion, the total approach to housing policy has to be reviewed, and it is a problem that can be solved, but it cannot be solved just by the way if you pursue the way you pursue. So, but there is a problem which is not in the definition of Municipal is solid waste and sewage also. That is a situation which we have to address immediately. And therefore, any forum anywhere in the country where I get a chance to participate, even when I go to service, I used to take time off to my best to attend the programs like this, and I continue to do so because of commitment to the cause. When the interesting thing, the Swachh Bharat announcement has come, people were excited when it came about 10 months before. I see some element of disillusionment around. That was it just a rhetoric, or was it just like a publicity gimmick, or is it going to work, and so on. So in that background, I would say that what is necessary will always succeed one day or the other if you follow the right policy, the right approach. Cleanliness is built in human system. There is hardly anybody on the earth who doesn't want his or her surroundings and body to be clean. Everybody, the human nature is you feel happier after taking bath. You feel happier. You feel happier when you clean up your room. That is human nature, not as designed. And it is not only human beings, even birds and animals. They keep their area clean. In their own way. Sometimes you may say this nest is not very clean, but from the bird's eye you see it is clean. And so on. Therefore, there is human nature of keeping the area clean. There is a natural desire to keep it clean. Then what is the matter? But we are not like birds and animals who are master of their destiny by us. We are constrained by so many things. You want to keep your house clean, you want to throw the garbage out, where in the first time. There is no dustbin. If you put it in the dustbin, then there is nobody to take it away in time. If you are facing away in time, if at all, but before that, the clothes and the dogs and others also would have spread it out on complete mess around. And then hygienic issues are there. Like there are street cleaners, sweepers who will not do their job. What to do about it? I would like to honor a sweeper who works for 8 hours a day. In the day. I think 2 hours an hour the limit of working. A person will engage for discovering street cleaning. How will we going to do? These are the framework and technology for processing and so on. Mindlessly we are working on hide garbage collection and dumping and then thinking, wishing that somebody will come and process it is not working. So the framework, the reality is that it is not working, but the inherent reality is working. It is the challenge for all those who are gathered here to find solutions. There is another problem. that two problems I see. One, we are a country which is dreamers country. We believe more in dreaming than working. More in lecturing about how others should behave than how I should behave. That is one problem. And the second is that we have great liking for following what other countries are doing. What West is doing, the same technology, same paradigm. It has happened for a variety of reasons. Most of our technical textbooks are either adopted in total from foreign countries or they are modeled on those lines, the engineering, the medicine, the whatever. They are designed on those lines. And in the process, while they have gone far ahead, we are left behind the different paradigm, but we are trying to read those that inapplicable. So you find graduates from colleges who are more used to real society. And industry have to struggle a lot to train the people who are recruited. Almost, one day I was a civil engineer, but in one conference I heard a civil engineer disclosing that in world of 4 years of civil engineering course, they don't touch the brick. They don't touch the brick at all in the 4 years of civil engineering. And then suddenly they are engaged designing or to supervise the construction of a bridge or whatever, building or canal or road or whatever it is. So these are the problems we are having real situations. So we have to modify the whole approach to suit our real because we are left behind in the race of cleanliness. We cannot adopt those models. See, I understand in China they are insulating the building and generating energy and they don't care for it, just insulate and be done with it. We cannot do that. We have our own systems, situational department, environmental concerns, all things are there. We are answerable to so many forums. Rightly so. There is no forum which I think is wrong. Whether it is the RTI forum or whether it is the whether it is the all kinds of rights for the rights. Respect all that because we are individuals feel that this is for me and for so therefore what is wrong? The wrong, as I said, is the approach. For example, West there is a slogan, 3 R's. Reduce, recycle, reuse. Now I said, how to reduce? It is easy to say. It cannot be reduced. It will only increase. The waste generated will only increase. How? Now life is becoming different. I am ordering so many things on the internet, e-shopping, and you order a bath or a kettle, ceramic kettle, and you can't heavily pack because you cannot come otherwise. Or either I go and do shopping for fuel and my time and energy, and it's not possible for that kind of, 1,000 rupee item, I don't have energy. It's easy for you. And there are many things. Today, commerce is e-commerce, and it will increase, and it cannot come for heavy packaging. And therefore, what to do with that? And so on so forth. I go on to inform you that you are sitting ordering for pizza, don't know what pizza comes from, it comes in package. You eat it, whatever is there, you eat it, rest is a waste for you. And so on. The reduction part is a physical part which we are simply copying from the West. They are simply agreeing. Let us think differently. As reality is, how to make use of this. Except that there will be packaging waste. There is a content. You eat banana, nothing is a waste for it. What do we do? Don't eat banana or eat a pillow. Neither is good. A style is prosperity. Your consumption will improve. And accordingly, the amount of things which we don't consume will also increase. This is a reality. In our country, I forget about what everybody is doing outside country. This is a reality. And as people are becoming more prosperous, they will buy more things which will not be used by them. Part of that. And therefore, we must devise policies, thought processes, technologies, approaches which work on this. And this, what is this? This is the unused items. You call it peel of banana or you call it wrapping or packaging of the stuff that you are buying. How to handle that? That is what I say. Let research happen on that. Let industry sponsor research with the colleges of technology colleges and public health engineering colleges, chemical engineering and so on. How to process this, how to process that. This is a technology option we should give. Otherwise, what is the research? What West is doing, same some minor modification for the same line. The benefit was there, they were already advanced, and they wanted to do technology work immediately. We are happy about the PhD, they are happy that they got the result. The country remained where it was. research has to be promoted and localized research because there are different kinds of ways in different parts of the country in large country. And I will also say that we should also modify our policy and in this group and individually we can work on policy which will modify public policy on carrying for solid waste. For example, when we are levying service tax or whatever sales tax or whatever VAT on products, that component of that should be for the packaging part. But you are not using it. But you are not using it. We are paying for banana. And some tax on that. Part of that tax should be earmarked for the banana management. Whatever you call it, solid waste management of that. It is part of the process. It is a deal. A consumer is buying something. So you are buying it and answerable for the whole thing. And that is how the person has to just think about it. And I'm floating the idea for you to draw efforts in your own way, your own right, you are spending time and investment and energy and you will be continuing. So this is what it means. That we not ignore accept that we want to have more banana cultivation, more apple cultivation, more vegetable cultivation. You must enjoy it. It's not that I will send some tablets to meet the tablet and that is how you serve. It's not going to work. If you encourage consumers, you vicious cycle of consume healthy things already, healthy things to consume and then processing part has to see. That is one challenge I would say. And the other thing is, there is a concept here. As I said, I have seen many countries, 5 years whenever I used to collect earlier you were not started, you told me that I came to urban development and I realized something. I went down in South Africa. What do you do? Is your soil based? There's all the program. They say, please, I said, take your soil based. Simply they are dumping and putting soil on top and putting green on top. And they let it go out and then the pipe and gas is taken out and they get power. It doesn't work in our country. For them, it is a different market for us. Because we do not have places where you can dump. There, the habitation in most countries ends beyond a point. Here, habitation is like in Himalaya and you get a chance of people will live on the Everest also. You will find that they lay over here, lay stay right here, let's set up water supply here, and so on. That is how we are. I am not complaining of this, I am complaining, but when we accept reality for the life and work on that point, we cannot get any place like I saw in any country, here they are simply dumping, they are dumping impossible. So therefore what we do, our theory has to be, my garbage has to be recycled in my system only. Now what is me and what is my system? As far as I want in my house, I must listen. As far as. Let me see how they are not recycling in the household, you know very good. That is one choice. And from that, I should not be asked to pay any solid waste fees or recycling, that relates. And by doing whatever I am sending out, also the locality, the layout colony, whatever it is called, that Nagar must decide that Nagar only. It should not send outside. Why should I accept somebody's garbage? Why should not? And why should I send my garbage to somebody else? Because that person, whatever village it is, and Gulabai or it is not that somebody got forsaken. It is now part of the life. No more got forsaken village where we can dump garbage. There is no such place in India as of now. There is no such place which is not forsaken. People are living everywhere, they will not allow, they are not allowing us. And I can tell you story after story. Maps have modified solid waste dumping down by law. Yet you will not allow to be down there. The law is a sign. Say country would allow not work. Because it's illogical. But it's not logical beyond even legal control. You want to see a case study, you can see. You want to see a project for the sewage treatment was sanctioned 5 times per day. Because there are different contracts for STPs, different contract for pipeline to do his job. STP will get on such a contract. And by now modified under Land Acquisition Act, municipal laws, town laws modified and it is completed. Final will be issued. Yet people did not allow the plant to be set up there. Now where the pipeline will go? The pipeline is somewhere. Where should we go now? There is a problem. So these are the reality we have to face. No sewage should go anywhere except the locality. This really has to face. This is today's situation. That localized, decentralized plants, decentralized collection, decentralized recycling, and as far as possible, reuse also, as far as possible. These are the seen, and I say that let all the workshop focus on these aspects, and learning from experience is very difficult. It is heartbreaking to see the failed projects in soil testing. Because those who have started off, I mean, I am not going to say who is to blame. I know both parties are to blame. People have signed up understanding both parties. The government is in good municipality and so on and so forth. And the other, they are not done their homework well. But I am not blaming. I am just saying that there is a learning lesson for the future. From that failure, can we do a better job for tomorrow? What has happened has happened. Companies are closed now. Investors money is sunk in soil waste projects because of the inadequate homework. And that's how I will say that. Let us make a proposal where the municipality is spending in soil waste project, say 60 lakh rupees per month. Then, and of course, no municipality is doing a good job regarding the around. So the entrepreneur should offer, the project proposal should offer that everything will be done as like city, recycling, recycling, and so on. But 60 lakh rupees must be income. What you are spending? You are spending. And then 40 lakh is recovered by the efficiency in the project management, and then also by recycling, improves the recycling and reuse of the waste. And if 40 becomes 50, 60. The environment gain, less than 40, it is lost. At least 60 is secure. That much guarantee must be available. What they need is spent now. And the same model has been tried in street lighting by many people. It is standardized by more or less. By 100 hectares, it is standardized by practice. The water municipality is spending now will be the deepest, and anything very over and above that, whatever expenditure is there on refurbishing the whole thing. They are going to spend and giving me whatever savings comes to the release. Somewhere we are sharing the savings also. Municipality after 5 years, these savings will be shared because they know that there will be savings. So friends, let us work on these models, workable models, sustainable models. We will have sustainability in terms of technology, sustainability in terms of financial viability, sustainability in terms of managerial issues, and of course, sustainability is required. So it's very, very critical. Now, I said, don't dump that way in somebody's head. Then you are poor, you are weak, you are part of the village, and you don't work anymore. So I compliment Prosper and all those who are organizing this wonderful event, and I wish the program more success. Thank you very much.
Mr. Krishna, thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts on the present scenario, how things are happening. It is we who are to be blamed at the end of the day, and we should take responsibility of creating an environment where people can live, we can live and survive. Like Mr. Snap has pointed out, toxic waste materials in the Ganges in the Varanasi area. It happens all a lot of companies on the peripheries of the river, Ganges, what we have at Yamuna. They put their waste in the river without even thinking once that this particular waste is going to be consumed ultimately by them only. But we are little unmindful of these little things which we need to inculcate among ourselves and in ourselves. With this note, I would like to invite Mr. Satish Sinha. He is an Associate Director, Toxic Lake. He has been associated with this research-based policy and this group since 2003 and has been leading a team trying to effect change both at policy and the grassroots level. He has been associated with Terry by co-authoring a book on e-waste and has depth knowledge of the informal recycling sector in India. Mr. Snati.
Good morning, everyone. And my esteemed colleagues and chair this side, and it is It's been a privilege and honor for me to be here, and thank you, organizers, for inviting me to this forum. Before I start, just a word about toxicity. Many of you may be knowing, many of you may not have heard about it. We are an environmental organization based in Delhi, work largely on issues of waste and chemicals. They are two specific areas of our work, and we work across on all waste issues: medical, electronics, hazardous, animals, radioactive. These are 5 industries that we work on. Our work is largely on policy, research, and advocacy. So that's what we do. Unfortunately, I was born in the last drafting of the Municipal waste rules, which are actually promulgated by the Government of India, Ministry of Environment and Forest. So there are some, very large amount of changes which are likely to happen in the current rules, which we propose. Hopefully, I think many of them will get past the levels of review that the ministry has at its own level, and there will be some amount of changes that the ministry will propose. But, and I think I totally agree with the chair when he says that things have not been as good. And I think it's important for all of us to really look at it as practice. Because if you don't learn lessons, I don't think there will be any changes. And one of the important things that I see when we talk about municipal solid waste management, in many ways, we talk about it as an aesthetic issue, as it is a literary problem. I think that's the fundamental mistake. The issue is not literary or aesthetics or trains getting dropped or dropped. That's one of the issues. The larger issue is of environment and human health. And I think if you don't make a connection at any point of time, and if you fail to make those connections on environment and human health, I think you're asking for serious concerns and you'll never be able to succeed. Going back to history, look at India and such on these issues. We have had a history of about 10 years of the revolution, 15 years of the revolution in India, 2000 years of the revolution. But if you go back a little further, where did we start thinking about this? Which was the year that we started seriously thinking about this? Or we came up with some kind of, we were shaken up. It was the Suez plague in 1994 that we started to really think about, oh, this can happen. There is an epidemic which can be created because of this. But even today, when we talk about waste, we are talking in terms of the peripherals. The issue is, look at where this quality of air. We all are talking nowadays in the headlines. It is on your second page of 13 page or 16 page of any newspaper. It's on your second page. It's talking about your breathing poison. Particulate matter 2.5. What's the levels? What are the levels in Europe? What are the levels in schools? And we're talking about it. It has happened too late. You're talking about benzene, you're talking about other things. I think this is where I think we need to focus. Because if you don't make the connect that you're losing your your population, you're losing a lot of money on your healthcare because of you're not managing your waste. Your rivers are getting polluted. You don't have a river water that you can say that I'm safe. Your food chain finally is contaminated. And I think these are concerns that we need to address through this. And thank God to Mr. Modi for flagging this issue out and bringing it up on the high agenda of the country. And yes, we need to talk about Muslims on this. I think that's a serious problem. And that's why I say that unless we make it connect with human health and environment, and then why do I say that again? Because most of the waste management things that we do, sound disposal of waste management, what we do with it, we pick up waste, we go and dump it. It's just dumping of waste. It is collection and dumping. There is nothing else that we do. And there is a community which is rack, who samples a little bit of it from it, and that we call we recycle. Or we have a great wish of this. We don't. And I can give you huge amount of examples that we don't have a very sound and good process for this. We are compromising on many things, but we want to be there to say that yes, we can recycle. It's unfortunate. And I think because I work on the recycling area very closely, very extensively, and I can talk about every material that is from electronics to hazardous to biomedical to Municipal. I can talk about every material that we recycle in this country and how to recycle. So I think it's important to focus on some of these areas. I know, we all know that as GDP grows, our population is also growing, we will generate more waste. So how do we add this? And I think that's where some of these components we talked about, cost, we talked about, and I'm talking about cost. In many forms that I go these days, people say there's no cost to waste management. I say, man, what are you talking about? The waste can, pay for itself. I think it's a wrong philosophy, it's a wrong concept. I don't believe it. I have not seen that example. If somebody can prove it to me on a model basis, we'll all accept it and let's go forward with that model. But coming to it, or thinking about it, I don't think the waste can pay for itself. That can happen to a particular waste, but that cannot happen across the. It is not more scientifically not seen. I have not seen a paper. I have not seen any paper being authored by anybody. So there is a cost to waste management. Is it external? Is it internal? And that's what the chair spoke about. How do we utilize cost for waste management? If we utilize cost for waste management, it becomes much easier. The process is seamless and flawless. But if we externalize cost into waste, there are some results. And then the great how do we really cost and save by, you put it in that, you put it in some other means. And that is where we have a different concept of waste management, and that is what a producer responsibility. You call it EPR, or you call it extended producer responsibility, and that's where it comes in. It is nothing but internalizing the cost of waste management into your product. And that is the concept which is globally accepted and has proven to be successful in many countries. I'm not saying that we will be successful in this country, but fact is that EPR is about internalizing cost into product. And I think that is a very important principle of waste management that needs to be incorporated in our policy. We have in many ways tried to incorporate this in some of the waste policies that I'm talking about here. It is there in the plastic waste management, it's being revised now, we will see maybe by next month we are. That is being incorporated very, very clearly, articulated very well in the electronic waste books. Producers have to take it back. There is no other way out. And they will have to do it. We are already in the trial, we are there in the NGT, and I think the NGT is very clear on it that producers have to take it back. And it comes to other kinds of material also in the municipal waste stream, which will have to be brought into the ambit of where the cost comes in, who pays the cost. So I think these are important components of waste management that has to be brought into fore of how we do it. Now, look at the issue about, we talked about municipality. And we have, as Chair said, that there have been various, experiments tried out. Some have proven to be successful, many have not proven to be successful. What the reasons are? If you look at technology, we have tried almost every technology which is available. Either globally, anything. Most of them have not worked. I mean, look at bioinformation, largest on a large scale, we try to come down. Look at organic plants, we are trying to. It's not being very, very effective. Look at waste management plants, not being effective. Look at composting, not being effective. So where do we go? So we have to analyze each and every one, but we can't keep repeating the same states. And that's why I think I agree with him on many accounts when we talk about decentralization. I think over-centralization, large projects, mega-projects, perhaps don't work on our question. For various reasons. And we can debate, and we can discuss, I don't have time to discuss all those issues of mega-projects and why mega-projects fail. There could be many reasons. Your waste is not quality, your collection mechanisms are not right, your feedstock, quantities are not right, and so on and so forth. There can be many reasons why large projects fail. So, is there an answer for decentralized waste management, or is there an answer between a mix of centralized and decentralized? I think this is something that we need to really ponder about. And what I think the new law proposes in some way, which I can share that with you, I think it proposes a mix of both. It proposes that some things will have to be done centrally and some things can be tried out in a decentralized way. that's where, it also, when you do decentralization, it also brings the ownership of a different kind. And this ownership helps drive things. Because, we can't be saying that people won't take ownership. You have to take ownership tomorrow, today, hereafter. Because unless we take ownership, and ownership can be in which way. If you don't say that in your case, you're not taking ownership of it. So we have to bring in mechanisms or frameworks as to how we get that process on. And this law, I'm sorry, I keep debating, I don't know what the law will be, but what we propose, they say the segregation is accountable, has to be done, must be done, and we must push it. Maybe 10% this year, maybe 15% this year, maybe 30%. But let's move in that direction. If we just leave it and say that, nothing can work in this country, then I think we should be trying to outlaw. So I think the answer is that let us push, let us do some amount of effort. Because if you look at this constitution or if you look at this composition, you are actually, if you can, you can only say 10% of the land of the Western. I can show that if you look at the composition, there's nothing. And now we have already started in many parts of the country. In Delhi, we have already done one of the major constituents of your base is CNG, construction and demolition base. We should have. And we started the branch. Now they're making tiles out of these construction and demolition base, which is being used for paving of your roadside, blocks, pedestrian walkways and pathways and all that, and then used for many other things. So there are perhaps answers and there are technologies which will work. But the question is that who would be doing it? And I think that's one large block that I see which has not been very, very effective in doing it as a municipality. Somehow or other, it's not the infrastructure difference. That's not the main criteria. There are municipalities who are cash rich. They have finance. There are municipalities who have given it to private parties. So it's not that the municipality was doing it because given private parties PPP models. It has been the genuine company 3,000 crores on various municipalities, not wrong. I think that is where we need to really, is it non-transparency? Is it corruption? Is it something else? Are we not putting the right kind of technology? As I say, we're just importing technology without concern for what is going to put in this country. I think these are some questions that need to be asked. And I think municipalities will have to be held accountable for the money that's being put in its at its disposal. They have to be held accountable and they have to be accountable to people for whose money it is. Government can use money, but money is everybody's money to be given to the municipality. So I think the municipal accountability has to increase. Many municipalities, and I have more often than not heard this argument. People don't do it. It is the people's fault. We don't have a culture of being clean or being hygienic or whatever. People throw waste. I don't think you can, it's so easy an argument to make. I find it difficult. All the places which are serviced efficiently by the municipality, they are fine. I think the problem is when the municipality does not service, or there is a lack of service, or there is a deficiency in service. That's where the problem is. Why is New Delhi or New Delhi so clean? Look at the number of Safai Walas or municipal workers who are there, how many trucks are there in New Delhi, how many trucks are there in Shahar, how many people are there in Shahar, what is the density of population? These are the number of workers who are there. How many bins have been there? So I think the problems are somewhere else. If I can just give you an example, look at New Delhi station and look at any metro station. The footfalls can be slightly different. There are some metro stations which are equally rush hour traffic or non-rush hour traffic. Same people travel by boat. Just because it is being serviced well, it is clean. It is neat. And the people are saying, there's no difference. He's carrying the same paper in his pocket or he's chewing, he's having the same chewing gum in his mouth in both those stations. Or anywhere else. It doesn't matter. So don't blame people. If you don't provide service, don't blame people. Look at all the malls. Just because the malls are being serviced by a number of people, there's something on the cost of it, you are giving it clean. So if you have to do it cost, you have to do these things to fix it. I'll just talk about recycling a bit before I can. There is one important and recycling. I have a little opinion which can be a little different, and he said that forums have different opinions, and so I think reduction is an important aspect of this country. There is a difference between excess and desire, or essential packaging. I think these are two very, very different things. And many times that we are noticing today. And the second thing is the kind of packaging material that you bring into lifestyle. Have you done that lifestyle analysis of these packaging material that you bring into circulation? Just because it saves you from that, does it become environmentally safe? Does it become environmentally sound? Do you know how to recycle it? What will happen to it at the end of the day? Who is responsible for it? So I think on material which you bring into production and into consumption, I think the important thing is also that life cycle analysis of these kind of materials. If you don't have a technology, or if you don't have a process of recycling it or disposing of, why bring it? Who will take responsibility? I think this is another part that we're talking about essentials or desired amount of packaging that is required. So there is perhaps an element of reduction which can be initiated, and the kind of material that we. Now, if you talk about polystyrene, it's such a difficult material to recycle. Look at some of those objects, it just doesn't get recycled, and it just goes into landfill. Can't be unavoidable. When you bring this material in, who is responsible? You are taking profit, going up and home, laughing, all into land for a product, and you rush the product. But the society faces the problem. The society has to deal with it. So I think we need answers for this. I'm not saying that don't say for us, please, the production consumption has to be there. There are essential parts of the economy, and they will have to be there. But I think we need to find, and that's why we're talking about sustainability. What is sustainability? How do we bring in the right kind of material? I talked about recycling. I think what we are looking at today is recycling, which is happening, as a fallout of a process, a system. There is no intervention for the recycling to happen. And I think that is a bottleneck that we look at. Most of the recycling that happens, and I don't know if many of you have known, I think the chair was talking about plastic as a major component of waste. Okay, plastic perhaps has become one of the major components of waste stream that we generate at homes and offices and other places. How is plastic being recycled? What is the percentage of plastic waste which is being recycled in this country? How is it being done? Who is responsible? What are the environmental impacts of this recycling that is happening? Even glass happens, even paper happens. But what are the environmental impacts? And then this is where we need to seriously think of converting this at the level of industry. Or pumping resources and technology, looking at financial institutions to come in and support this kind of recycling industry. And I think that's a huge opportunity that the country has to look at recycling. And if you look at the waste generation that's there, I think 60 to 70% of the waste is recycling. And that is the potential that we should be looking at harvesting. That is where we're looking at resource conservation. That is where the resource has to be brought back and recycled and brought back into the supply chain again. And unfortunately, if you look at even plastic recycling, most of it happens in Delhi is a large recycling area. You go to Manila or all these areas, you almost see acres and acres of plastic waste right here. And there are people who are solving like you are feeling. Now the question is, how do we improve the percentage recycling of this? How do we improve the quality of life of all these people who are involved in this recycling? They are doing it just by it. But can the state interfere or partly or create situations which facilitate this kind of improvement of recycling situation? And what I propose, or what I always say in many of these forums is, why not have such beautiful recycling policies? And we'll do a great when we talk about Make in India. I think let's look at some of these answers that we have, to look at some of these municipal-based issues where we will recycle many of these products and bring it back. And we also have create a driver of selling these products, quantity in these products and selling these products. How do the products find market for us? Your public procurement policy can as that is there, to ensure that your government procurement accesses these materials and brings it into your offices and your government procurement policy. So that most of these recycling materials find market finances. And that is where you will have improvement in quality. Because once they start finding markets, they will start finding to improve the quality. You will start finding technologies coming in. You will start finding quality of life for this people improving. So I'd like to just say that these are some of my thoughts. And there are solutions for this waste management. Hopefully in the next 3-4 years, and this campaign that we have, we find some resonance in it, and we find some way to move forward. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I thank Mr. Sinha for sharing his thoughts. I would like to add what Mr. Sinha said. In India, we believe in Jugaad. And this is something what we need to teach ourselves, right? When they say that it starts at home, we need to do the segregation right from our kitchen itself. And when the Jugaad collects the garbage from your premises, you must have seen they start segregating everything what is required, what is discarded, what can be maintained, what can be recycled into different various sacks, and they do whatever they feel like. They don't have no idea. And as a layman, what I've seen, I'm trying to share with you. Most of the people might have seen. But now creating toxic waste and creating the environmental pollution, I think there must be somebody here from the municipality out here. When we see our parks being cleaned and groomed and with the brine, what they do is like they burn the foliage instead of creating a compost out of it. They have been educated in this part, but still, I don't know whether it has brought down at that level or not, but they need to be educated though. Continuing with this, then, I would like to invite Mr. Chandra Bhatt, Managing Director, Credits Consulting Private Limited. Mr. Bhatt is usually called the UB, and he is a go-to-market and technical commercial specialist with expertise in technology, vibration, and integrated energy and energy quality domains. He chairs the Sustainable Business Leadership Forum and Industry Practitioners Group focused on resource sustainability and ESG group through multi-stakeholder working groups. I would like to invite Mr. Bhatt to please come and share his views and thoughts on it.
Good morning. Thank you, organizers, for putting up this discussion together, which clearly is quite topical and resonates with a lot of conversation that is happening over the last few months. Certainly, the Indian landscape, it's really been at the forefront of both the technology and industrial and discussions. And doesn't really present an opportunity is a question that I get often asked. Creating value out of waste is nothing new. The Indian industry has attempted frugal innovation for many, many years, with some success in the waste. The largest challenge areas are always has been around municipal solid waste. The first, just before we started, I was sharing with Mr. Krishna and a few other folks here that the first waste-to-energy plant in India was attempted in 1995 and in the city of Bangalore, which is the first structured program. And the results of that show that fundamentally whatever you get at the plant site level doesn't really have to be available. And that was the first time people recognized that the informal sector is seemingly seen as scavengers, etc., really have a method in that awareness. They may not be doing a great job. I think we all recognize that we can have better models. They work in extremely dangerous environmentally and from a health safety perspective, conditions, etc. But the fact that the amount of recyclable material in the municipal waste at the plant level is that low, at the dumping site level is less than 3%. It's still indicative that the there is a different process that we need to attend if we are going to see as for waste to energy. There are several challenges. I can look at the business case of waste to energy in many, many ways. But fundamentally, the cost at which a waste to energy entrepreneur is able to sell energy doesn't justify them to put in any more money in acquiring waste of higher order and higher quality. And that therein lies the biggest gap in this space. If you look at the current state, and Mr. Krishna said it so recently, that there is a lot of collection. If you look at the collection data, it has gone from 65% to 80%, etc. But that's where the waste management machine stops. There is no effort really gone into what has been collected, what has been segregated, etc. And we as a firm, when we work very closely with industries, and our job really is to help them relook at their resource footprint and how do you do your resource use optimization, how do you create resource use recycles, whether from sewage water, we do a lot of work with sewage water in quite a few plants. And you will see there is an uptake within the industry wherever they are forced to the business case. I think, I do not think Indian industry is an early adopter really for many such ideas. I think more and more the cost of inaction is becoming more and more evident. And that is where really the issue really becomes interesting if one wants to really look at distribution. I think policy is a way changes, but if you really look at it, there is a capacity gap at the other local bodies. Whether it is from a perspective of framing systems, whether it is from a concept of framing business models of engaging right from collection at a household level, all the way to a various centralized public-private partnership. The entire value chain is not very well understood by other local bodies in India. I think there's a big opportunity for intervention there, and of even how to use their current resource situations. They're using taping fees, they're using a whole lot of models, but they're really not able to address this problem. People see that an employment challenge, labor issue, depending on who's handling what side of the elephant, they come up with their own response to it, but truly speaking, it's a capacity issue. And so that's one clear challenge that needs to be addressed. The second is the issue of how we integrate the informal sector into the formal attempts at it. Now, whether you do it by kind of creating decentralized systems, I think there are already some examples there, and to Mr. Krishna's points on the banana leftovers, there's a company called Banana in Tamil Nadu, which is sure, and they were banned by Banana from their broad tea, they use Banana. If you look at packaging waste, there is a company called Banana which works closely with Tetra Pak, those are models that can be done. In fact, in a sustainability planning conversation, one of the largest brands in India, I actually was the CEO of the global sustainability head. You have such a large brand presence. They're probably the single largest brand in this country if you add up all their consumer goods that exist. And I've recently told them that you're talking of newer ways of engaging CSR. You're saying my factory footprint is only 5% in my value chain. So I'm sure you will manage to mitigate whatever you can in that 5%. But the true value of a brand is sustainable differentiation. So in differentiation in your case, for sustainability will come and look at this 95%, which is outside your gates, but it's caused by either it is caused by your sourcing or it is caused by the consumer. And packaging is a big area, and we have actually presented a model to the sustainability leader working group, where 3 of these large corporates are now trying to create a closed-loop system, where this waste will be taken out and obviously at the scale will come once they're able to craft a model that works. But the fact that there is now a desire to at least attempt that is a welcome change. I do see that desire. Now, whether that is as a result of the CSR bill, whether that is a result of Swachh Bharat, whether that is a result of political considerations, but I think most importantly, I think the social license to operate is really now becoming core to the governance aspects in very large companies. So that's one aspect of it. Now, if you look at it in terms of what can we really do, which is different, I think having 2 experts speak before you limits the opportunity to add anything new. But here is my view on this. I think we need to break down our action agenda into really three phases, which is basic, intermediate, and advanced. But basic really is around access. How do you ensure that the collection efficiencies go up at source? And collection not just in terms of the today when we count everything, because if you go by that, as Satish goes right. If you drive on the Gurgaon Faridabad highway, much taller than the skyscrapers there is the landfill which is now generating on that body, which is going to kill the township of Gurgaon for sure in a corridor. I mean, I live there, and but you're living in versus in that building. You come out and then you see all of this, and you think all of us think that insulated and we can buy our time out. I think the problem is becoming so large that nobody would be able to escape them. And what while the claims that you might seem insulated today, I think it's a matter of time before that spills over and we will try to create smaller and smaller oases to limit people there. Right, that's what I'm saying. So you cannot undo that. So I think if we can create access and focus on the collection and make it policy compliant, I think Satish alluded to a change in administrative rules, etc., which are coming about. I think policy by itself is an enabler, but it is for people like us and in partnership with the urban bodies to really take it forward. I think incentive producer responsibility, e-test has been there for over 3 years now. You still have significant challenges around collection. Nobody wants to invest in collection systems. No law that wants to do that. And it is not something that, to be fair, that anyone can do. Because for doing that, and I've lived in the States for about 14 years, and this society was crafted in that form and shape for the last 30 years and it didn't happen overnight either. Singapore, the cleanliness didn't happen overnight, it took them 2 decades. I think unless we start investing in that capacity, with the view that it will take 10 years, our problem is we launch it as a political slogan and we believe overnight everything will change. They're the same people. We live the same way, we consume the same way, we walk the same way. So what has changed overnight is that this policy will last. So I think we need to invest in that capacity. That's what I mean by intermediate. That is when you start building the efficiencies. So once you have a basic program, once you have data on where what kind of garbage you have. Because if you look at today's data, there's very little you can do at the dumping site. I mean, yes, I think some of the referencing to the INFS body case of construction and demolition and everything, that was the example we were giving, right? So that's a good way forward. But if you look at that, a lot of those materials which can be used are today not allowed to be used under the policy. So you need to change the policy from there. But you can only get to that if you have data to present back to the policy maker that hey, this is something which can be extracted. There is rampant urbanization. So construction is going to be a key component of that, and there is a way to undo that. When it comes to advance, I think it finally boils down to creating sustainable systems and sustainable behavior. Now, whether that comes from the cost being used on tours and as we realize that they're not working efficiently, that will again only work when we have a very strong social collateral mechanism. Today, we have urban bodies which are, in my view, fairly disempowered, right? And, the MP, the MMA, and the corporate all work at the same unit of analysis. All they care is can I endowment the local power. And so, therefore, our expectations of our representatives are accordingly about getting school admission, etc., rather than hold them accountable for what they're supposed to be doing in that chain of governance. And I think so the problem lies with us there. When you look at it from a perspective of how do you make it interesting for investors, that's what our bread and butter businesses. In the access and energy to access space, we kind of have been successfully able to intermediate about $150 million of money in very small decentralized parts of this country in the last 3.5 years. These were primarily done by us and the R&D, and then in the last 2 years, it's sort of picking up. And the power is distributed to isolated regions to these communities which are either unelectrified or electrified. The systems are between 20 kilowatts to 20 kilowatts in most of the geographies. That learning taught us one thing, that if you can provide a service quality, goes back to the point that Mr. Krishna was making. The problem is not putting the infrastructure, it's about how you make it if you can justify that service, you can demonstrate that service, and you can maintain that service, they will pay. These are the same areas where the hard discounts and Google discounts are more than 80% of connection gaps. And we have now working on 14 districts across these two states. So the data is still early. We don't have a data to say that for 20 years people have done that, but the first 2 years of data say that people are willing to pay for the services. So that's one. Second, when we talk about policy, we are expecting the entrepreneur to come and take all the risks. In an environment that the state has had a philosophy. So you are expecting private sector to kind of take that form of influence to cover with some magic wand, and unless you incentivize for that risk, nobody is going to serve. You are able to see solar. Solar has been a technology which has been detected in India for 20 plus years. But it started seeing the light of the day at the scale and with the imagination only when the government started taking the role of a market. They came up with the National Solar Mission. I don't know, there were a lot of other limiting factors. There were conditions of how to produce it for that scheme to thrive in India at that time. But larger point being, somebody has to play that catalytic role for the private sector to come. And suddenly there is a belief that there is a CSR fund and everybody will put money in this. I'm not so sure. I think putting a cess, as Swachh Bharat has decided that it will have cess, and now they've gone back and said not on the PI, etc. So I think there is some push back and forth happening, but I think there is a role for some sort of cess which should come linked to our consumption. Because I think unless we become responsible consumers, it's going to be a very, very tough challenge to manage. I think, and we can start by incentivizing people, right, at a society level. All cooperative housing societies exist in larger areas. You could incentivize them, just as you have incentives coming into a single meter going for electricity, single meter going for water. You can think of waste in that dimension. You can, incentivize them, educate them. There are companies, I was thinking of a few examples. There are companies we have worked with, on some of these models. They need down this individual household level and at an aggregate. If you look at the hospitality sector, the hotels, some of the hotels, whether it is IPC, most different issues like the market, have been phenomenal in managing the waste. Whether they have been using it for composting, most of them have been using it for composting both the food waste or the wet waste, but I think there's a significant attempt there. You know what cooperative societies taking the lead in waste segregation, both in Bangalore and a couple of them in Delhi, where I found. Right, the amount of scientific thinking that has gone into segregating waste which are aligned to Indian usage. Because there are 5 different color-coded ways, really, and I really like it. Not everybody in the society is right. For example, micro society that existed about 2 years back, I think about 70% of the households in that colored household complex are part of that. But it has been done very, very well. And they have engaged in individual SARs sometimes. So that's the integration they are doing. There's a monthly operational cost per most unit which is paid for this. And so it's inbuilt in the maintenance piece in a way, but the fact is the outcomes are far more robust. There is a attempt on the municipal solid waste unit through the Okta plant, etc., which has its own challenges and pushbacks. But it's a good example of seeing, if you try and look at it, how do you incentivize waste energy? And instead of 260 paisa, which is the current average price, I think we need to take that to about 6 rupees. At 6 rupees, the return on that plant would be in the range of about 15-16%, which is a little bit of latitude to the entrepreneur to do something meaningful. And that's true for almost every waste energy plant in the country. Otherwise, theoretically, the numbers are going to look at the physical raw material, feedstock coming into you. It has so low calorific value that in business is for a cost of machinery that you're importing based on some technology specifications crafted for the West. Denmark is the leader really. In fact, they import waste to feed into the waste to energy plants. It just goes recovered. I think the kind of work Professor has done in the pilot project with the Northern Municipal Corporation in identifying CND waste and how that can be reused, whether for tires or for other elements is, I think, or aggregates, is a great way forward because I think construction waste and rebuilding or retrofitting of our existing buildings will be a big component of our urbanization journey over the next decade. So I think those are several areas where I think private sector can play a part, but I think we need catalytic inputs from the government, and I think the starting point needs to really be the capacity building of the local bodies. In the absence of that, I think we can have a lot of conversation, but it's not really going to